Come on, man. Are you there? Hold on. Let me tilt this dial. No, nothing. Come on, man. I know you're there. Say something. All right. Let me get my toolbox. Hold on. This will take care of it. All right.
Well, so I says to the commander. Hold on a second.
Jones, tell them to drop their PVC. No, not later.
All right, sorry about that.
What unholy can of worms have I opened? It's a good thing I have
mercenary stuff.
My big tool. It's a good thing. Otherwise,
Don't worry about it. Standard mercenary stuff. I've got a mech beta run. I'm taking time out for this, and it's just for you.
Thank you. I knew I paid my HPG bill. It's just the connection is weak. Anyway, folks, welcome to Screenplay. I am joined here by my enigmatic broadcast partner. Please introduce yourself.
Enzo Garamond with War Crimes Cost Extra.
And you can't teach that. Folks, what we're going to do today is we're going to break down some of the most epic Battletech on-screen fights that you've ever seen. We're talking the Mech Commander intro. We're talking Mechwarrior 2, all that fun stuff. And we're going to go through this point by point and see, okay, what would have to happen if we were to play this game on a tabletop to produce these exact results? How would we get that done? So that's what we're going to do. And we picked a beauty of a starter, I think, the Mech Commander intro. Enzo, what do you think?
Well, you know what? The Mech Commander intro, definitely full of some very interesting points. Iconic scenes. Nobody that's ever played the game has ever forgotten it, so I feel like that's a great place to start off.
And I feel like it's got a lot of iconic moments. I feel like it's got a lot of those things that just anybody who's seen it just a couple of times will immediately, oh yeah, they'll remember that. They'll have that nostalgia. So I'm real excited. I want to take a trip down memory lane here with you. We'll do some more if these are popular enough, folks. So hey, you never know. If you like it, bing, subscribe, hit that like button. You never know. We'll take a trip down memory lane here. We'll see what's going on. How would we produce these results on the tabletop? You ready to join me down in the old battle movie theater?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right, here we go. This takes me way back. Like super way back. I remember when this came out, I was so excited about it. I called up my friend across town and watched it with him on the phone and held the phone right up next to the speaker so he could hear it. That's how excited we were about it.
I remember the first time I watched this, it was my buddy had the game and was like, "Oh, you like Battletech? Here, check this out."
Delta zone clear. Panther, I need Charlie zone status. Report.
Sir, it's real quiet down
All right, here we go.
I think we can call it clear.
Oh, yeah?
Don't think, Mechwarrior. Find out. Finish your sweep.
Colonel.
Best line in the whole intro movie.
Commander Harrison, can you confirm Charlie zone clear? I have an invasion to go to.
Sweeping last sector now, sir.
Yeah, that pissed her off.
I think we can count on
Yeah,
Mr.
it did.
Harrison.
Yeah, it did.
Tell them we're clear.
This was so irresponsible. Let's just be honest. She was like, oh yeah, motherfucker,
Incredibly.
well, I'll tell you what. Now the entire invasion is on you, buddy. How do you feel about that?
I don't like the smell.
Of course, something goes
You
wrong.
know,
Clear the
I really
channels.
want to say that real military commanders wouldn't do stuff like that, but I know better.
Commander, I assume you have this under control.
I assume you'll save my entire career, please, and not ruin this entire thing that I've just started.
This is gonna look terrible on my officer review brief.
All right.
And of course,
Get to him.
Hold on, let
of
me hear this.
course,
I'm ejecting.
And hard cases had it.
Track that pod.
Magcat, Jaguar Magcat.
Avenger Viper, move to these coordinates.
Avenger and Viper go right.
Hold your position, Panther.
Okay.
He's way outgunned. Hit him, get his attention.
Sir, I...
Do it!
All right.
Mad Cat pilot is just like, you just signed your own death warrant.
Move out.
Roger that.
Miss.
Follow this path. Turn. Take the turn.
Skid check passed.
Almost there.
Ugh.
I can't keep up this pace.
Now take the next right.
Skid check passed.
Commander, this is a dead
Pretty sure that he has high piloting stats.
I know what you
Maybe
got.
low
Hold your
gunnery.
position.
Damn it, sir, I need some help.
Here it comes.
Just loaded into the back armor. Just, gah.
Panther, finish him.
Yeah, there's really only one thing I can think of there. I'll wait.
Hey, Panther, did you miss us?
Commander,
Reporting Charlie Zone, all clear.
nice shooting, team.
Harrison. Excellent job. Now cinch up tight, soldiers. We're coming in hard.
Mechwarriors, you should have a visual on us. Form up and look sharp. We have an invasion to go to.
Roger that.
One clanner down, about 100 more to go. Welcome to Port Arthur, sir.
Iconic moment.
Absolutely iconic moment. Okay, so can I just say that the invasion of sorry, not the invasion, the liberation of Port Arthur is basically Battletech's Normandy.
I can see that. All right. So let's break this down, shall we? Let's back this bad
Break it
boy up
down.
to the first instance of combat here. Right about here. So we see, our buddy Hardcase here is firing one of his medium lasers. I mean, I guess it's a medium laser because the small laser's in the head. So if it's coming out of his arm, it's got to be a medium laser. So it's funny. I always thought medium lasers were green. So
Depends on the developer.
And few frames later, we have Hardcase over here. He's blasting away. We don't see whether or not he hits, but here's what I will say: if we he's getting blasted here.
I'm ejecting.
Track that pod.
And down he goes. Now, how would that have to take place? I hear alarms going off in that cockpit. So this is gonna say to me, he's got engine damage. He's got heat warnings going off because of engine damage. He's shooting his autocannon. He's firing his laser. He's moving. The Hunchback doesn't have, more than just barely enough to shoot some of that stuff. So he's probably firing his guns. Bang, got cracked with an engine critical. So let's see. Couple of medium lasers. It took some LRM damage there. It could easily be looking at internal structure damage in the center torso if the pilot got the right grouping, or he could have a through armor critical. Mad Cat pilot rolls snake eyes, boom, and gets +1 critical, +2 critical, whatever, damages the engine, and that sets off these alarms that we hear in the cockpit. So I'm thinking he's got engine damage and his heat's going wild, and at that point he would meet the standards for forced withdrawal, and he's got to go. So he doesn't want to die. He sees he's getting ripped apart. He's out of it. What do you say? Do you concur?
I think that what's happening here is you have some really lucky hit location rolls consistently on the part of the Mad Cat. Now, the Mad Cat, I'm assuming that this is a prime configuration, although Mech Commander didn't really go with the standard, prime configuration versus ABC, whatever. They did like, okay, so this one has more armor, this one has more weapons, and this one has jump jets. So if you're dealing with a
Just
prime
looking at it
configuration
here,
Mad Cat, plenty of firepower to be able to take a Hunchback out in a single turn if you get lucky on the hit location rolls.
hold on, let me see this.
Son of a bitch! Sir, they've got us ranged.
Get to him. He can't be allowed to get off a message.
The machine, do you see that daka right there? That tells me you're looking at a Mad Cat Prime. He's got the machine guns on it. So you're definitely looking at
two
Mad
large
Cat Prime.
lasers.
Two
Yeah,
are
two
large,
lasers,
2 are
machine
mediums,
guns, and 2
couple of
LRM-20s.
machine guns. Don't forget the standard medium pulse disco death laser.
Mm-hmm. But he's not in close enough range for that yet.
The Mad Cat is firing the machine guns. So for the pilot to even pull that off, the player would have to be within 3 hexes. You don't get range outside of 3 on tabletop with machine guns. So the fact that the pilot is even doing that to begin with means they are right up next to one another. Like if this was tabletop, you would be what I call within hucking distance, or the range is right here. That would be, what I say. So this guy, he's getting hammered up close. So you know what? This makes a little bit more sense now that I analyze it in that fashion. So I don't know if I would call this luck on the Mad Cat's part. I don't think that through armor criticals, if you take them in the center torso, as is written in the book, and don't use the floating criticals, then it's not as uncommon as you think to score a snake eyes on a hit roll, especially if he's throwing machine guns. If he's throwing missiles, we know some of those missiles hit. Cluster hits are, the main source of ways to generate through armor criticals like that. And all you got to roll is an 8, which, you'll hit 42% of the time. So it's not that unlucky. And in the realm of all things that are possible, I'd say, frankly, it's pretty freaking doable. So that's what I think happens here.
On top of that, it actually makes a lot more sense to take the Hunchback out now if he's that close, because you do not want to take hits from that AC-20.
No, and I would bet my bottom dollar that the clan pilot, being bred for this kind of thing his entire life, or her entire life, or their entire life, would know thine enemy and have studied the technical readouts and know what they're looking at when they see it. And they see that big giant, autocannon hanging out there on the shoulder. You got to know if you're a student of the sport that's a Hunchback. Like if you're knowing your enemy, which is just basic tactics, you'd know, and you wouldn't want to take that 20 cannon.
And even without all the studying, every clan Mechwarrior knows that you do not want to be assigned to the Hunchback 2C. That's a suicide mission. That's when they're trying to get rid of you.
So that's how I think this happened. I think that, you're looking at either some very good grouping here to get internal to the center torso, couple of engine crits, or you're looking at a through armor critical here to 1, maybe 2 engine hits, and you hear those warning alarms going off, and he meets critical damage, and pow, he punches out. On tabletop, that's how I think this goes.
Sounds fair. And
right.
I would do the same thing if I was that Mech Commander. I'd be like, get out of that thing. You're not doing us any more good.
So let's fast forward to the next instance of damage here, which is the Raven shoots the Mad Cat.
Oh, it's just basic pulling aggro.
Now look at him right here. He doesn't look like he has suffered any damage. He does not look like he has taken an autocannon 20 shell from the Hunchback, even though it got shot at him. He looks like he's pristine here. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with the fact that if the Hunchback hit him, he didn't hit him with anything significant. And neither did anybody else that shot at him. So let's move on. That was an SRM, obviously, from the Raven. I wouldn't expect that paltry burst to show on this frame. So, yep, Raven scores a hit. Very good.
Yeah. A couple of points of damage on the right torso. Mad Cat's still in great shape at this point.
Now, he's going to flip around here. I was talking about this while the thing was playing, so let's watch him run here.
Roger that.
Follow this path.
Now, the Mad Cat missing right there, that's luck. Like, they have got to be within 1 hex of one another
Take the
at this
turn.
point if they are not on tabletop at point blank range. I would consider that a difference of 1 hex at best. So that missed shot right there is insane luck on the Ravens' part because he had barely even moved by that point. So let's move on.
And he keeps missing.
Take the turn.
Right here, he's running on pavement. So
Almost there.
I'd say the Raven pilot has to be at least a pilot of 5. I mean, no worse than that. Maybe 4 if he's lucky. But you pass a skid check here. So you'll have to roll piloting skill, probably +1 at that point because he's traveled a few hexes to get there. So let's just say he's a gunnery 4, piloting 5. He rolls a 6. He passes his skid check here. Bang!
I think
He
Panther's a
got hit.
better pilot than that. Yep, right to the
Can't
leg.
keep up this
He may
pace.
be. It doesn't matter, but he got hit right there, right? You think that's the leg and not a torso?
I think that's the leg.
Okay. What do you suppose he gets hits with there? A missile? That's an explosion.
It might have been a stray missile, or it might have just been bad animation. Back it up a little bit and let's see that again.
All right. Boom. That's a missile hit.
That's a missile. That's a missile hit. That was a
So-
terrible roll on his grouping.
Oh, I mean, it must have been. They must have just flown sideways. Let's just assume that the Raven takes a few points of damage in his leg here from that missile because he's still moving. It doesn't seem to have affected him at all, and we don't hear any warning alarms in this cockpit. So we'll
It
just
lurched
say
him forward a little bit.
a little bit. So we'll say it's a 5-point grouping. Hit you in the leg and maybe a point somewhere else to account for the splash damage. Sound about right?
Sounds about right.
So he's not hosed yet.
Oh no, far from it.
Bang!
And there's
Can't keep
a
up
laser
this
hit to
pace.
the torso.
That is a
That's
medium
right.
laser. If we're going to go by what the video games had established at that point, which was medium lasers are green. Because remember, when we played Mechwarrior 2 and we fired medium lasers, they were green. If you fired large lasers, they were blue, right? So he just got hit with a green bolt of energy. So let's just presume that this is a medium laser based off of
Points
what
of
the
damage
games
to
had
one of the
shown us.
torsos.
No, that's a clan medium laser. So that'll do 7 damage.
Okay, 7 damage to looks like the right torso, and it might not have exactly been the rear arc, because if it was the actual rear arc, he's already got exposed internals at this point.
Oh, there's no way that's not the rear arc. And the Raven has only 3 points of armor on its left torso. Actually, all of its torsos. So we're going to assume that hits the left torso. That's 3. He's internal at this point by about 4 points of damage. So that sucks. And he's got that XL engine. Man, if he takes pretty much any other major hit there, that extra light engine would be the end of it. So when he says, I can't keep up this pace here in a second, he's not kidding.
I can't keep up this
That
pace.
does make sense,
Take
yes.
the next round.
So here's what just happened here. That Raven pilot got insanely lucky. He passed his skid check because at this point he has got to have traveled however many hexes on that movement phase. And he passes his skid check here after traveling, let's say 4 or so hexes. Not a hard piloting skill roll to pass. It's a standard roll, so you make a 5, no problem. But if he hadn't traveled that far to avoid skidding, that means he hadn't moved that fast. And the Mad Cat had only just barely missed him. So again, insane luck on the Ravens' part.
Commander.
And here's the iconic scene.
I don't have jump jets.
I know what you've got.
Hold your position.
So here comes Batty
Damn it, sir, I
McBatterson.
need some help.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
And
on.
everything to the
Boom.
rear arc on the Mad Cat.
So That's one of those iconic moments. So we've got LRMs. We know that. We know that Avenger and Viper got sent that way, and that's a Commando and a Centurion, right?
We're dealing with LRMs
and SRMs. We don't hear any autocannon fire here. We don't see a muzzle flash. We don't see any laser fire. So we are dealing strictly with missile fire here. So we're looking at an LRM-10, and if the Commando had, for whatever reason, decided to damn the torpedoes and just full steam ahead, you would have an SRM-6 and an SRM-4. That, you know, you would, if you're in range of the LRMs, they're at that short of a distance, they are within, you know, spitting distance of one another. You're looking at medium range on SRMs, probably short range on LRMs. That's how they caught him so off guard here. So
yeah,
let's just presume, to get the most damage out of this, that the Commando and the Centurion looked at each other and said, we're only going to get one shot at this, and if it doesn't work, we're all dead anyway, because that thing will kill us. So we might as well just shoot everything we can shoot missile wise and get that, you know, as much damage in as we can. Yeah, sound about right?
It does make sense, although I would have alpha'd. It doesn't even matter the range. You're fighting a mad cat. You alpha, because it's going to annihilate you if you don't do the job right as quickly as possible.
Okay, I mean, that's fair, but we only see the missiles here. So let's just say that's what they fired. You would have to, average expected damage on an LRM-10 is 6. You'll hit with 6 missiles most of the time. So we're going to assume average expected damage. Actually, we'll give her a little bit extra there and say she hits with 8. That's a 5 and a 3 group. Okay. The Mad Cat can handle that. He's not in serious trouble yet. Let me see if I can recall the Timberwolf stats off the top of my head here. The prime configuration, he's not in trouble yet. He's got 7 in each torso on the side and 9 in the center torso. So he's not hurting yet. But if one of those 5 groups, for example, went to a right or left torso, and then the Commando came behind it and struck it with several SRMs and managed to hit the same torso 2 times, because, you know, you need to get 8 damage to get in, right? 5 group, 1 SRM is 7, 2 SRMs is 9, which is not totally impossible if you're firing 10 of them and you seem to hit with them. We're just going to assume they hit, because it looks like he's standing still here. He was like getting ready to take a shot at that Raven. He didn't even move. So it doesn't look like they had any trouble hitting him. Yeah?
Not at all.
Okay. So it's not completely impossible to imagine that the SRM and the SRM 4 and 6 is what I meant to say hit. So, you know, you're looking at average of 4 and 2. So that's 6 missiles. You would get 6 more attempts to hit that side torso. If, you know, the other one had put a 5 group of LRMs there, you have 6 chances to hit there 2 times. That's not completely impossible, especially when you only need to roll, you know, 6 or 8, whichever the one it is. It's not hard. So we're going to go internal damage here, because to get inside the center torso would require a lot extra. You would have to hit with a 5 group there from the Centurion. And then the Commando would have to come behind it with like 3 or 4 missiles to get internal there. So we're just going to say you got internal on one of the side torsos here, because for what's about to happen, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Otherwise, it would be really lucky to get a 5 grouping of LRMs. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, and then 3 separate rolls to the center torso for SRMs. You know, see what I'm saying? It would be really lucky to get that, where you only need to do it twice on a side torso. Make sense? You see where I'm going with that?
Yes. At the very least, one of these hits has to be an engine crit.
Oh, well, but that's where I'm going with this, because it would be easier to get internal in a side torso with this missile model, I'll call it, than it would to get into the center torso. You see what I'm saying? So, okay, he gets hit from the back. He turns around.
Panther, finish him.
And
Boom.
there it
And
is.
down he goes. So let's talk about what happened here. See how the damage on the back torso is visible here? They have
Yes.
gone great lengths to make it look wrecked. So that's how I know the Hunchback didn't hit him before, because if it had hit him, they would have gone to some lengths to make it look like he's been damaged. But I mean, I guess if you want to call that, now that the plot armor has been thrown away because the plot necessitates us killing you at this stage, we make it look ruined. But yeah, it just stands to reason that the Hunchback didn't hit him with any of all that other crap, because they didn't go to any great length to make it look wrecked where they have here. So down he goes. If
also,
we're internal,
I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say, which also, I mean, how many times have you thought, oh, I got you now on an AC 20 roll and then just whiffed it?
so many times, so
Yeah.
many.
Even with really good gunnery numbers, it still
my
happens
God.
with AC 20s.
I one time threw a pair of dice into Lake Eufaula because I needed to roll 5 on an AC 20 to hit and rolled 3. So
It sounds like a good reason to banish a pair of dice
yes,
forever.
they are. I'm done with them. But let's talk about what happened here. If you're internal on the Mad Cat on a right or left torso, which is what we're looking at here, because that one of those two would be the easiest of the 3. We'll just assume left, I guess. Actually, wait a minute. You might be able to get an explosion. Okay, we can make the explosion possible. Because let's just animate that real fast. Boom. Why did that happen? If you're internal on a right or left torso, you have the possibility of hitting LRM ammo. And we know that the Mad Cat did not expend its entire complement of LRMs here. We have at best 5 turns, of fire here. And it has 6, shots of LRMs, but we know it didn't shoot it all the time. So I would venture to say that by the time this happens, the Mad Cat's LRM bays were at least 75% full.
Yeah.
And you get
Agreed.
internal. All you need to do here with the Raven is point the SRM2 and, get it in just the right spot. So yes, that is a little bit of luck on the part of the spheroids here, which further underscores just how crazy irresponsible it was to authorize this fucking invasion because the guy called you sir. Oh man.
Okay,
The
so I have
insane
a
luck
head
of
canon
that
about
Raven. Okay, let
I
me
have a head
finish this.
canon about that.
Let me
Okay,
finish
go ahead.
this thought, and then you can throw that out there. For the insane luck of that Raven to throw just the SRM2, we don't see him shoot anything else. That Raven has other things. It has like a medium laser, doesn't it? It can fire
Yes.
more. You'd think, okay, I've got one opportunity to knock this thing over now. I'll fire all this shit. No, he doesn't do that. He just shoots the SRM2. And it just manages to hit the right torso, whatever one they opened up, because they first had to do that. That Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events had to happen. And then it had to this is on the next movement phase now, because it has to turn around to take this shot. We go back to the weapon attack phase. He only declares the one weapon. He fires it, and it just goes and just manages to scoop the exact location that they tore open the turn before. And bang, we get the ammo explosion on critical hit. You have to roll at least 1. So you have to hit that torso, whatever one the team before you opened up, and then you have to roll at least 8, and then you have to roll low on the left torso or right torso, whichever one it is. And if it's the right torso, you have actually better opportunities to do this. So let's just assume it's the right torso then, because there is a machine gun ammo slot there and a LRM ammo slot there in the low group in the 2 and 3 slot. So you have double the opportunity to blow the ammo if you can get 1 critical hit or multiple. The more the better, obviously, but you have to roll low group 2 or 3. And bang, you will get it either machine gun ammo explosion or an LRM ammo explosion. And that will produce this result. Thank you for following me on that train of thought. I
Yeah.
apologize for that long. Just I was like in the plane, right? And I was flying into the fucking airport. I'm like, hold on, bitches. I gotta get the landing gear down. Just give me 1 second. I'm almost there.
Yeah. So we
Flying into the
definitely have to
hangar.
assume
Woo! Close the doors. All right.
We
Sorry. Go ahead.
we definitely have to assume that they stripped all of the armor off of the rear arc with that volley of missiles. So I'm going to call that they got really lucky on their grouping rolls and rolled perfect every single missile hit, and there is just no armor left on the rear of that Mad Cat anymore.
No, I don't think they had to get insanely lucky there. I think if the Centurion smashes with the LRM-10s, which she did, and you just hit average expected damage, you don't even have to go above 6, but okay, you hit with 8 out of 10. If just 5 points, one of the 5 groups goes to a left or right torso, in this case, we'll say right, like I just said, then that 1 point can go anywhere else. Or 3 points can go anywhere else. It doesn't matter. The the Commando just has to come behind and smash with those 2 SRMs and just get average expected damage out of them. 4 and 2, 6 missiles. If 2 of those can strike that right torso that the Centurion just hit, it will ping, go internal. 1 critical hit, now he's internal. He gets no crits, right? The guy turns around, the Raven fires the SRMs, hits the same right torso, critical hit, machine gun ammo or LRM ammo, kablam. That's the sequence of events. That's what has to happen.
You really
or
only
both.
need one or the other.
Right.
Yeah, you only need one or the other, but if you hit both, boom.
Either of those would produce that result. So I don't think this is insanely lucky on anyone but the Raven's part. The Raven is the guy that gets all the wow, this was the silver bullet. This was the dart you threw blindfolded and just happened to hit in the right spot. Because if that only, like I say, only declares one weapon. If that weapon had hit anywhere else, this fight would be still going. It would not be over. I can't say that it would end the same.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to say earlier that I'm pretty sure that Panther is an elite pilot. I'm pretty sure he's 2-2, if not 1-1.
Okay, he could be, and that may be why he makes his skid checks with such ease.
Right. So, as far as the beginning of the video, I have some thoughts about everything. All right. So we know that at this point in the lore, we are dealing with the Federated Commonwealth rather than the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federated Suns. This is most likely the first time that Colonel Reese has ever worked with former AFFS.
Okay. And there it is. You can see it right there on the left of the screen. You can see the FedCom logo right there.
Yeah. Right. So, that being said,
yep.
It's highly likely that the Armed Forces of the Federated Suns has classically always used Sir as a term of address for every officer, regardless of gender, and that the Lyran Commonwealth probably uses gendered terms. Okay.
Oh boy! Look where I paused it. Look. She's pissed.
She's furious this entire time.
Said what, mate?
So because of all of the stuff that I've read since playing this game,
neck, kid.
And then also,
I'm leaving it there.
Yeah. Did you ever download the patch for the first Mech Commander where it had like this personal message from Commander Harrison to the player?
Oh God,
explaining why he's basically giving them the Mad Cat that they took down in the intro movie.
My memories of Mech Commander are extremely limited. I played it for a very short time in the late 90s as a child. I've slept since then, and I cannot remember hardly anything about it. Here's what I can tell you.
Okay.
I never beat the game. I never passed the first mission.
You missed out.
I could never beat that Mad Cat, and it just got, and I could and in those days, just Google it wasn't as ubiquitous as it is now. And so I didn't think to go look on, Game Facts or whatever, if that stuff even existed in those days. I can't remember. And I just got frustrated with it and quit. It was neat while I played it, but I could never pass that part with that Mad Cat. So I just went, all right, well, this is for brighter minds than I was a teenager.
So because Mech Commander had such a huge impact on where I went with my interest in Battletech, I did do a little bit of reading about things. And so if you downloaded this patch, it had like a personal communique to the player from Commander Harrison, and it gave you a deeper insight into the character's personality, right? So Commander Harrison has a reputation for being a hothead. He has a reputation for being a risk taker. And so therefore he's essentially, the way that you have to think about this interaction between Reese and Harrison is basically like General Holdo and Poe Dameron from the Star Wars sequels.
Okay.
She doesn't
I'll give her a break. I'll move it down a little bit.
Yeah. She doesn't like him because he's a hot shot. And he doesn't like her because she's too by the book. So his whole jab at her by using the term sir rather than the proper Lyran ma'am, he knew that was going to get under her skin.
Wow. See, I had no idea.
Yeah, she had it coming at that point, if my analysis of that is correct, because she's trying to rush something that takes time. You're establishing a beachhead. Your main force isn't even in yet. You're just there for recon purposes to make sure the ground is clear for the drop ships to come in and land. And so because she's trying to rush this, and he's like, no, I'm doing this thoroughly. This is like the one time in my entire career that I'm actually going to be responsible.
And do things by the book.
She's looking to him. Yeah. She's looking to him more that strike fast, whoop ass kind of thing, which he ends up having to do anyway.
It's almost like, in this instance, according to what you've said here, that their personalities for this one particular time in their lives are reversed, where he's like, bitch, I'm trying to do this by the book. Why the fuck are you rushing me? Like, why are you doing this shit right now? I thought this was your gimmick. I thought you were Mrs. By the Book.
Expected out of me?
And she's like, hey, I expected you to be the hot shot, rush in. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and so they're just bang, clashing. And it just seems like the most unlikeliest of conflicts for the two of them to have based on what you've said here. But does that sound about right? It sounds like they just flipped this one scene.
Absolutely correct in what I have always assumed about this scene.
Now that I know their history, I can see this interaction in a much deeper light and say, oh, okay, see, here is what's actually playing out between these two human beings. And that makes me kind of re-examine my statement earlier where I'm like, this was totally irresponsible. I'm just like, oh, I thought she was just being a hard ass. Like, I thought she was just like, oh yeah, stupid kid, I'll teach you a lesson. I'll show you. And she is. I give the orders here, buddy. And I just thought she was being a jerk.
Yeah. To be fair, she kind of is being a hard ass. Because she's got this guy who's got this reputation, and the reality of his reputation is not living up to the stories. It's like, well, I thought this was supposed to be done already. Why isn't it done already? You're the ends justify means guy, aren't you? All right, we're going. And he's just like, we're not done yet.
Right. And I guess he just wants to put that period on it by calling her sir.
And again, that's just a headcanon based on things. That's nowhere in the lore does it say that the Davian armed forces use the term sir. I'm just assuming that that's what it is because of the way that he delivers the line.
Okay. That I can see you making that leap based but the rest of this history is what you're telling me is canon, right? This is all
absolutely.
Okay, so I can see you making that leap from the canon to this thing that you have in your head of, sir, ma'am.
Yeah, and then you having never actually completed the game and me having completed it multiple times. I've heard Colonel Reese's voice on so many of those between mission briefings, and she is absolutely the lawful good by the book type.
Okay. Could this perhaps have anything to do with 90s culture at all? And you know, the fact that you know, she's got short hair here. I gotta keep doing her dirty. I'm pausing at the wrong spots. But you know, she's got the short hair, you see, and she's the military, the stiff upper lip kind, you know, and then, you know, if you're telling me this guy here is a hot shot, you know, I'm thinking, is the culture of the time at play here? Just say, hey, call her sir.
Possibly.
That'll piss her off.
Possibly,
Because you know how
yes.
it was in the late 90s, like, you know how that culture was. I'm not gonna go terribly into that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I lived through the 90s also.
So, I mean, I thought maybe is that at play here? That just now occurred to me. Like I never thought about it that way before.
It possibly is, but there's a reality at play a little bit also. So,
but if they have that personal history,
Yeah.
it's another story.
Well, when you are an officer in the military and you're a woman, the old rule about you have to work twice as hard to be considered half as good is definitely at play, even in modern day in the military. And there's no doubt in my mind that 80s and 90s tropes kind of played into this a little bit here. Although in Battletech lore at this point in the future, everybody's pretty much seen as equals anyway.
Okay. And just let the viewers at home know you do have military experience, right?
This is correct. Yes. 12 years in 2 branches of service.
I just wanted to throw that out there. The man is speaking from experience.
Indeed.
Okay. So please continue.
All right. So all that being said, once the alarms go off and they're like, no, we are entering atmosphere. This is happening. Get your job done. The line where she says, I trust you have this under control. And I believe I said it actually during the video in the first place, but that's just the thought that's going through her head right now is, this is going to look so terrible on my officer review brief. I don't even know if I want to be here for this anymore. So just handle it.
Yeah, I can see that facial expression right there saying all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my review is going to be horrible if this goes wrong.
But look at the dude here on our right. What about that guy? He's just like, ooh, shit.
So he's probably her adjutant.
Ooh, we fucked
He's
up.
probably her adjutant, and he might have seen this coming the entire time. As an adjutant, you are required to know things about everybody that you've got working with your commanding officer. She being his commanding officer, clearly from the way that they interact with each other, he's just like, oh no, and I tried to plan for this.
Yeah, he's like, oh no. Okay, shit, all right.
But I just wanted to give a little bit of the background information based on what I know about real life military culture and based on what I know about these two characters. Although it would do a lot of good for Battletech to explore Commander Harrison in greater detail at some point in the future, because with what little information I had on him at the time, he's actually a really interesting figure.
This kind of makes me want to go a little bit farther down the rabbit hole and look into this guy, because that's kind of cool. See, I always just thought these were, I don't want to say nameless, faceless, characters for this, but they were just characters that were made up at the time, and they were there to serve the purpose of making this look cool. Like I had some inkling in my head at some point that the gal in this video was Colonel Holly Harris from the old Mechwarrior 2, but I guess I was wrong on that.
Entirely possible. It's entirely possible that she might be, although I always haven't just tried to really looked into that.
We'll do that in another video. She supposedly died, in that battle in the opening cinematic, which we'll review that one at some point in the future. But so that couldn't be her. I just remember, watching this over and over as an adult, looking at the patch on her uniform there, going, does that say Harris? I can't tell. But yeah, I never thought that they would make Reese. Okay, I never thought that they would make this intricate backstory But I mean, for Battletech, that makes sense. I feel like there's at this point more Battletech history than there is real world history.
Well, so I think, and I could be wrong on this, and I'm going to go ahead and fact check myself on this later. So there was the patch that had the communique from Commander Harrison that gave you more of an insight into his personality, because this intro movie is the only time that he appears in the game.
Okay.
And then I believe, if I remember right, I believe that there were a few snippets of flavor text in the old trading card game that referred to, if not directly quoted, Commander Harrison.
Okay. I never heard any of that.
Yeah, but you still have the communique, and the tone of voice that he uses makes it sound like the player character is a personal friend of his, and that they know each other probably way back to Military Academy on New Avalon.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah. So, but it also gives you a little bit of insight into who he is as a person, and he is definitely a sarcastic hotshot.
All right. See, okay, that makes, his resentment of his commander make a whole lot more sense. And that interaction takes on kind of a whole new meaning now. Well, Enzo, not only has this been a fun trip down memory lane, as I said before, but an interesting history lesson that I had zero idea about. And it's kind of just like brought that moment of my childhood full circle all the way back to, me being an adult going like, wow. So thank you so much for sharing that. I never would have known if we hadn't talked about that.
Well, like I said, leave it to the autistic guy to overanalyze literally everything.
Well, folks, it's been a blast. We replicated the tabletop results with, a halfway decent chance of occurrence. Wouldn't you say? I'd give this at least a 60% of the time it works every time rating, wouldn't you?
Let's hope it's a little more successful than that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you were to try it, like how do you suppose about 60% of the time you could pull this off?
I could give it a good college try and get at least 60% out of it.
I think so. So yeah, that's what we're going to go with. 60% of the time, it works every time. Hit that like button, folks. Subscribe for more videos if you want to see more videos just like this one. We'll see you next time out of the space lanes right here on Screenplay.
Be sure to smash our like button and subscribe to our channel.
Crowdfunding is when lots of people give you small amounts of money to help your passion project come to life.